All right, all right. The music, the music's gone. The music's gone now. We can come out of hiding now. Be it safe.
Oh my god, wait, we can?
Yeah, it's safe.
Oh my god. Okay, cool. Hello.
Yeah, I hate Twitch. I'm the guy that hates Tuesdays. That's B.
Yes, hello, I'm B, obviously, because, bees. Bees are cool.
Yes,
Gotta shake the bees.
and this is the third episode of Type It Out, our podcast. It's HalloBEEN flavor.
Yeah, this is spooky season flavored, and it's a
Uh,
little bit delayed, which
yeah,
is
actually, hold on. I gotta add that to the fucking
you
this.
already did.
Yeah, to the podcast, to the stream title, but I didn't add it to this one. I'm just gonna add another one saying
Oh.
delayed, and then I'll make it slightly darker.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, I thought of doing this after the stream had started, so
Oh yeah.
do. Good ideas always happen in the moment, right? Delayed. Oh, that's really white. That's too pale. Let's give it some color. And we make it a little more dull. Boop. We drag it down here. No. Is that on top or below? Where is it? Where is
That
it?
is
It's
that is
on
on
top.
top.
Yeah. Just gotta drag it underneath that. Boom. It's below now. But okay. No. That's the spooky face I'm dragging. And there we go. It's totally not a sham for the eyes. We've got
Fine.
our first chat. It's your hot food is once again Catman. Yes, they probably
Yep.
missed the cat. Um, as you can tell,
It's fine.
we're going to be talking a bit about SCPs. I like
And
it.
I know absolutely nothing about it.
I What is this? Adept is ridiculous, but with SCPs now? You don't get
I
what I'm
guess.
talking about. That's a Warhammer podcast that started where one of them he only like collected minis and he didn't know anything about the lore, and the other one was like a lifelong fan. But by now they're
Oh,
both kind of like nerds in it because they've been going for like a year, I think.
yeah.
Anyway, so we're not just like Adept is ridiculous. We're not going to be dissecting the entirety of every single SCP we'll be mentioning today. We'll be talking about a few. We'll just be going over a few of those I like, going into some of the cool details. It's not just spooky ones, which I guess is more fitting now that we're no longer in spooky month, technically.
It's fine. It's still SCPs. They're still weird. Um,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
strange and stuff like that. So it's cool. I don't think they'll die from it not being like super spooky.
So, before we can just jump into this, I feel like an important thing to make sure you know what that is do you know what D class is?
I've heard about it. Like as I've said before, I follow a couple people. Well, not a couple. I follow like one person on TikTok who explains some of them. So I've heard of like different classes and stuff, but I've
You,
never really
you've
figured out
probably
what these stand for.
yeah, I was pretty sure you would have heard the words D class or class D thrown around because that's a very common thing. So the foundation is supposedly this large. I suppose pseudo government thingy, but it's like a united government because even shit like North Korea don't fuck with them.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, yeah, this weird shit, we gotta keep it in check universally.
Oh yeah.
So some of these things to properly understand how to keep people safe or what they truly do to people in case they break out or whatever, you're going to need some subjects. And if you are funded or maintained by different government bodies around the world, you probably have access to quite a few criminals, don't you?
Yeah, you would be. You would have.
So commonly, D class or class D. It's called both, some just interchangeably in different files. They're basically just people like prisoners, life sentence prisoners, sometimes not even that bad prisoners. It's kind of varying that got into the unfortunate situation of finding themselves within the custody of the Foundation. So sometimes they'll get to talk with some very weird special, no, let's call them very special people. Or they want to see what happens if they release a little bit of the weird gas they found in that hole in the ground and your skin starts turning blue and then your eyes and teeth fall out. That's not an actual SCP, that was just a random thing coming out of the top of my head.
I
But
mean,
it
that could become an SCP if you like put your mind to it.
but yeah, that was just a good example of what could technically be an SCP. Just make that gas something like extraterrestrial, it came from space, or magic, or demon, or cult related, or some shit like that. Or actually, no, it's ghost farts. It's canned ghost farts that make you die. That's what it is. That's SCP-6752. Right
What
there.
the fuck?
Canned ghost
Canned ghost
farts.
farts.
That's literally like when you scroll down the. Let me send you the link, a link to just to just a page, a random part of the site, so you can just see how they're just listed, and they just go down, and the names go from weird to cool to terrifying sounding. Let me just share you. This is series 5, so
Okay. Please open the link
you
so
could
you can
just skim
get the
through
real.
a couple of the names, maybe read. I just found one that's literally just I. That's a good spot. Um, too many legs to be going nowhere. It wants to be free. That sounds scary. Deadly fart berries. There we go. Fart related, deadly. It's just
Mm.
berries instead of ghosts. So this is basically what happens when you just let writers do their thing, and then they keep doing it.
Yeah,
Anyway, oh, you saying something there?
no, I just said, oh yeah, of course, like it's wants to. Yep.
But that's kind of what I really just love about this universe, or well, fandom, I suppose, community. That you can get something as random as editor beetles that are just these blue scarab beetles that just change written text, if I remember correctly. And then there's I'm just listing some very commonly known ones. There's things like
Yeah.
fucking 939 that are literally these fucking wolf like lizard thingies. I got a gif of one here. Um, so basically, when they kill and eat you, they hunt in a pack. They can mimic some of your last words, and it's unknown whether they really understand what they're saying or whatever. Uh, that's the brief summary of those. So that's cool. Um,
That sounds very familiar to me. Like,
and then there's
I
also
think that's a
just
very common thing across media in general, like creatures mimicking you
there's
or mimicking
also
your voice.
oh yeah, that where creatures like yeah, because that's scary.
Yeah.
Because that's literally
Yeah,
something working off of our pack instincts and taking advantage of it. I think we have like a primal understanding to someone taking advantage of her nature. It just makes her brain go, oh, no, bad.
yeah, like it's weird and it's scary and like ugh.
But, but then there's also just things that are basically like small events, shit like old folklore stories, or where just some dude shows up when a guy dies or shit like that. The like
Yeah.
49.99, someone to watch over us, which if I remember correctly is basically just if you're a lonely person or you don't have a lot of family or whatever, and you're like in the hospital at your deathbed for some reason, this man will just appear and come in and sit down and offer you a cigarette. And whether or not you accept it, he smokes one and then he leaves. and then you
But so
die.
kind of like a guardian angel sitting there with you
I think it's also a little bit
at
tied.
your like
I think he's also tied a little bit to people who have unfinished father thingies or something like that. I don't know.
uh it's tied to people with daddy issues.
Yeah, I think that's like the last part of the fucking page where it also adds that there's some might be a correlation with that.
Yeah.
But that was just like three random examples of different kind of things people have made into SCPs. I myself had like two ideas I wrote down a couple of years back. One was like a shampoo that no, it's like a bottle of normal hair dye, but when you use it, it makes your hair turn into your favorite color. But if you're
Oh my God, that sounds
colorblind,
amazing.
if you're like colorblind, it's normal unless you're fully colorblind, then it makes your hair fall out.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Better pray you're not like fully colorblind when you use it.
it's just like a
Also,
pale. It was just like a normal bottle, but except for like a normal, a normal like wrapper on the bottle, it was just a fucking post-it note taped to the front saying my favorite hair color.
huh.
So it has to be a little weird because it's still a fucking entity.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The second one I
Wait,
made
so does that mean
was
that
just a
the
dude
thing
that
is just
appeared in
like
your window.
endless?
Well, it's not.
Like,
Well, potentially, I think currently there's like currently goes up to like it goes up in the 6,000s maybe. Does it go further? Yeah, it goes up to the 6,000s, but then next to that there's also like a bunch of stories around specific
no,
SCPs and their
no, no,
intermingling.
the shampoo bottle thing that you
Oh,
came up with. Does that mean that it's endless?
oh, yeah,
Because
yeah. It never ran out. That was also part of it. No matter how much you kept using it, it never seemed to run out. There's a lot of SCPs that just do shit like that.
yeah.
But to start us off, I'd like to talk about it's not that long of an SCP. I'll send you the link to its specific page. It's SCP-1230. A hero is born. Now, SCP-1230 itself is just a green blank book. And when you open it, it's completely blank on all pages except the first one that reads, "A hero is born." And then nothing happens until you go to bed that night. You will dream the most vivid dream ever, where you will find yourself in a fantasy world and to be the protagonist of a land in peril. Or there's also this guy named the story writer or maker or something who's like supposedly the book or the spirit of the book or something itself, who tailors the story for you. And I don't remember exactly how much communication you can have with him throughout it. I think it varies, but depending on who you
Yeah.
are and how imaginative it is, you can go on for years, lifetimes in that book throughout one dream.
Oh, wait. So I'm sorry. I'm just like comparing it to what I already know from like
No, it's fine.
fictional our world. That's kind of like Narnia. So you can live like a full lifetime within a dream.
Yeah. Um.
Except with Narnia, it's like you live a full lifetime within a closet.
Oh yeah, and then it's only like been half an hour or an afternoon.
Yeah, like that's actually kind of crazy. So you have like a 20-minute nap and you've lived a full life.
Oh, I no, I think you like. So the thing is, they did a couple of tests, and in one of them, they literally wanted to see if you die, or if you like if you can like kill yourself, and they sent a dude in to just kill himself, and like he woke up basically immediately, and yes, he could kill himself. He just jumped into a volcano, and then the next time they went into the book, the story guy asked the next person, "You're not just gonna throw yourself into a volcano or something, right?" And the guy went, "No, no, don't worry." So that was
So it's
hilarious.
more like a lucid dream then.
Yeah, because the book literally just, the story writer, he literally just wants to give people, a really, really, really amazing dream.
Mm.
So he just creates these elaborate worlds and stories for you, until a researcher, a specific researcher, um, did a test with the book and didn't quite wake up. Let me find the part of it to refresh my memory. Do, 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 do. Yeah, he was at level 4 clearance, so he was pretty. He was like. So I'm not fully certain if this is exactly how it works because I've never looked it up. But the top people in the foundation or the O5 council, and I think they're called that because they have level 5 clearance, because I never hear any. They always mention level 4, level 3, level 2 clearance and things. And, you know,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just assume that 04, level 4 means that, he's like right beneath the top, you know? It's pretty high up. So they just give him access to the book, and he was almost visibly shaking with excitement. And some reported the professor, whatever his name is because it's redacted, was an avid fan of tabletop and role playing games. Surveillance shows the professor, redacted, opened the book, read the phrase, sat down beside the desk, and promptly fell asleep. Staff members were alarmed when Professor Redacted did not awake after 15 hours and alerted security. The on-site medical staff were able to confirm that Professor Redacted was still alive and in good health. After approximately 24 hours since falling asleep, Professor Redacted began to move, reported to have slowly raised his head and looked around the room, appearing deeply confused. Security entered the room to ensure that he was all right, to which he replied, "Where am I?" He was sent to medical, where staff explained where and who he was. Several minutes later, Professor Redacted appeared to have regained his memory and excused himself to the restroom. When 15 minutes passed, Professor Redacted had not exited. A nurse entered to find that he had hanged himself with his belt. A scribbled message on the wall revealed his last words: "I can't go back to this." Um, so after that, the book just started getting soaking wet, and the pages just read, I'm sorry, I never intended for this to happen. I just wanted to make people happy," just over and over and over and over, until they literally had to wipe down the desk they kept it in, like daily, I
Yeah.
think, because it was just leaking tears constantly. Until
So
another
it was like
oh,
the guy in there fucking started crying.
yeah. And like they have no idea what happened. This dude just slept for a whole day, and then he kills himself, and the book starts crying. So
God, I
another
wish
re-
that were me, except suicide.
so another researcher puts in a note. He was like a personal friend of the other one or something like that. Whatever. He puts in a note
Yeah.
to the book asking, saying, "I'd like to have a word with you if that's all right." And the next morning, he filed a report about a dream he had concerning the SCP entity, the guy within the book. So,
Yeah.
uh, do shortly, let me open the report. Do. Bookkeeper, is that you? My God, man, where are we? I couldn't think of anything to make for a landscape. Bookkeeper, what happened that day? Why did Professor Redacted kill himself? We have to know your side of the story. Bookkeeper, wiping his eyes. He had such an active imagination. I was able to create a vast and beautiful universe for him. It was obvious that he had wanted a life like that for so long. He conquered foul beasts and rescued princesses. He built kingdoms and even raised a family. But he never wanted to leave. He delved so far into his fantasy world that I soon realized he preferred his dream over the real world. I reminded him that this was all merely an illusion, but he wouldn't listen to me. He stated that if he wasn't ever forced to leave, he would immediately end his life. That if he was ever forced to leave, he would immediately end his life. I tried to keep him happy for as long as I could. Bookkeeper, how long was the dream from his point of view? 200 years, Doctor. I did my best, but I could only hold on to him for 200 years. As sweet as dreams may be, eventually we all have to wake up. So he spent 200 years in this book and then killed himself. Fair though. Oof.
That's tough. Like, you live out however many lifetimes,
Yeah, and he probably had like
you know,
a whole family and
and then
everything,
you're forced back. Yeah,
great
probably more than
grandchildren.
just one family. Like he's probably had multiple families, let's be honest here.
Yeah, he's the protagonist.
Because yeah, no, especially because like if he kept slaying like foul beasts or whatever, um, his wives probably got killed a fair few times by the villains.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck.
Like
He had a couple of revenge arcs, definitely.
100% he had, but I can't imagine having a dream like that. And
So
in the dream you're alive for so fucking long and you know
just
exactly what's going on, you know exactly what's happening, and you're just like, I don't want to return to my real life. I can't return to my actual life. It's a
yeah,
little bit Inception-like, isn't
it's
it?
kind of understandable, honestly. Like after you learn the
Yeah.
200 years, and we're going to be able to cover the ass of this one because it's honestly a really short one. So after that, the guy who talked with the bookkeeper slipped another note into the book that you don't know
Mm.
what says, and he refused to elaborate on. He just says he just gave it some friendly advice. After that, it began showing its usual "a hero is born" greeting, and acting as normal. And then right at the end, there's a little extra little block where they ask the bookkeeper asked if they could move it to a bit larger library with lots of fiction so it could like expand its universes with more things, and
Oh my god, that's adorable.
after a few tests they approved it. And that's
Oh
another thing
my
I
god.
love. That's a good thing we can I can briefly go over. So if a writer has made an SCP and posted it, if they later get an idea to expand on it, they can just go in there and like make it so it looks like parts of the document have been like stricken and new parts have been added if you know if things change. So sometimes you literally will have to go back, you'll be able to go back. Dude, if you want to live in a world where you believe in the SCP Foundation next to our actual reality, you genuinely could. It's really fucking immersive.
Yeah, no, like yeah, no, like I can imagine with being able to do that, you can make like an ongoing story of like, you know, you started on this date, so it's like first experiment of SCP whatever.
Yeah.
In like a
And
few
then you
days
begin
uh,
connecting the
you upload
dots
another
between
one.
them,
Yeah.
like
Like
creating a
you can
universe.
make some yeah, no, like that's actually really cool. I like that you can do that and not and you don't have to like write it all out in one go, but that you can go back and edit and change and add more stuff.
I think they have to discuss with the forum moderation. There's like you
Oh
have to
yeah.
do some test. You have to do some. You have to go through a process to be able to post get your SCP on there, and it has to go through a few. You know, they have to make sure it's good.
Yeah.
But
Oh
I'm
yeah.
honestly not sure what their
I can imagine
process
they
is.
also I can imagine they also have to make sure that it's not stolen because I have heard of stuff that's
Oh yes.
been like stolen in the past and people keep trying to like take stuff from other things that aren't actually SCPs,
Well,
like Siren Head, for
I'd say
example,
you could
or like
take a
creepy
concept from
boxes.
something.
So,
You could take the concept of something and use that, but you
oh
have to
yeah,
make it your own.
but you'd have to change the name and you'd have to change the look and the idea of it a little
Yeah,
bit. Like it can't
you
just
don't
be
just
like,
make Among Us
oh,
a
this is
me a
Siren
fucking
Head, but
SCP.
it's not like Siren Head. It looks like Siren Head,
It's Scream Face.
but
It's
it's
long
Scream
Screech.
Face. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's Alarm Head, you know? Like
No. No, it's fucking. You're right. You're wait. No, it's Alarm Face because his name is
it's
Siren.
Alarm Face.
Because it's Siren Head, so it's Alarm Face.
Yeah.
That's a full
But no, like it's
thesaurus.
but yeah, no, like I actually quite like that they have to like look through it and make sure you haven't just stolen it from from someone else or somewhere else.
Yeah. And if
Pretty
it is
good.
literally
Pretty good.
something that already exists, there is
Mhm.
actually, speaking of SCPs based on things that actually exist that are good, there's one based on like Garfield. kind of, where it's like if Garfield's popularity falls beneath a certain threshold, a really disgusting real life man sized Garfield monster will suddenly appear and kill people related to Garfield media. And
Oh
not
my god.
so yeah, that's why Garfield keeps coming back in media because they have to satiate his hunger.
Oh my god. That's my oh my god.
Yeah, that's a really
That's
fucking good
amazing.
idea, right?
Yeah, that's funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's fucking great. And also, while you're reading it, you generally get scared of walking outside in the dark for a little bit.
Oh, I'm never gonna get scared of walking
Okay,
outside in the dark.
okay, I got a smooth segue for this for the next SCP. You moved
Mhm.
recently. You probably had
Yeah,
to
I
like
did.
buy some new furniture, didn't you?
Only like one piece of no, 5 pieces of new furniture, but yes.
Then you probably had to visit the IKEA.
Oh my god. I didn't actually visit IKEA. That was my mom and my friends.
Lucky you, because
Yeah.
you just might have entered a perfectly normal IKEA SCP-3008, or well, the Infinite IKEA as it's known commonly between the community because it's quite the popular one for obvious reasons. So basically, it looks like a normal it looks like a completely normal IKEA from the outside, but when you enter, you notice that the aisles go on forever and you can't find the exit again, and the only people you
They
can
always.
yeah, and the yeah, it's literally infinite. They can't they've tried to measure it with lasers and shit and they literally can't.
Oh my god.
It's just IKEA, and the only people you'll be able to find easily are humanoid people in IKEA staff uniforms that are like they have incorrect proportions, so they'll have like too long arms or legs or too big heads and no faces.
Are they like violent though?
Not unless you attack them. That is until the night comes. Because the IKEA
Oh
maintains its
god.
own day night cycle. It turns on the lights
Oh,
when the IKEA would open and turns them off when it closes.
wait, so does that mean that it could just change the day-night cycle even though it's still daytime outside, or does it
Well, the
like
thing
not
about
follow?
the Infinite IKEA is it's kind of its own dimension because it's not the IKEA you entered because okay, so in this further in the SCP itself, they find a man exited the IKEA because you know the exits move around, and I guess the idea is that if you enter a random IKEA at a random point in time in any universe, there's a chance you'll enter the Infinite IKEA instead of the IKEA you just tried to walk into. Or maybe it's like a specific IKEA in every universe. They don't know in universe, so it's not in the file. It's up for speculation. But basically, there are
Yeah.
entire societies of up to tens, maybe even hundreds of people living together in cities and communities. They forged out of IKEA
Inside it.
furniture. Yeah, forged out of IKEA furniture with walls to protect themselves from, as they call them, the staff that get very violent at night.
Oh my god.
They literally, so they, at night, they begin to get very violent and say, the store is now closed. Please exit. Or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they
That
try to
makes
murder
sense.
you. And the
Oh
guy
my.
who wrote this journal that they learned a bunch of this information from, well, the perspective information from, he mentions that a lot of the people he talked to, they got very big facts either wrong or had them completely different than he had. Like a lady, she didn't know that the Statue of Liberty existed, and a few of them didn't know of the International Space Station. So his theory was that this thing takes people from different universes and plops them in the IKEA.
Fuck.
So
Wait, but that
maybe
begs the question. What other universes does IKEA exist in? Like the idea of IKEA.
It's, I don't know. One of the guys in the book had made a functional crossbow. So
Oh my god. Probably
universes
out of
where
like
that
a Lego
badass
Falcon or
exists.
something.
Like who enters an infinite IKEA? So there's infinite IKEA based resources. Granted, they're infinite, but they are IKEA based, and then they make a crossbow.
Oh my god.
I feel like we're going to leave the infinite IKEA there, because there's quite a bit. It's one of those SCPs where the interesting part isn't the file part of it, because there aren't really any interesting experiments. The interesting part is like the journal they recovered, so most of the good bits is reading through that. And I'll leave this one to whoever is listening or you yourself to go explore on their own or go find on YouTube. The Volgan, I suggest him. He does some pretty damn nice readings you can just turn on and listen to. Um, anyway, to
Yeah.
cover the next two SCPs, I'm going to briefly talk a little bit about groups of interest. And these are like a decently common thing within the community that groups of interest are like specific occult or dangerous or mysterious types of individuals that the Foundation has a reason to keep tracks on or try to keep tracks on. There's like a group that make artistic but sometimes dangerous SCPs. There's one that's literally just a very old but weird toy company that makes like hyper intelligent animatronic robot friends and shit like that. Um, but we're not going to be talking about those. The two we're going, I want to, fuck. I've got two SCPs here, each related to a group of interest, and these two are kind of entwined, which is why I picked these two. That and I like both of the SCPs, so win win. And these two groups of interest are the Church of the Broken God and the Sark or in the Sarkicism. The religion's called Sarkicism, or the fucking. There's a lot. Hold on, let me look up the
That
fucking list of extra names for it.
Okay, yeah, you go do that and I will wonder what that religion is all about.
Yeah, so the Church of the Broken God is is they believe in like a machine god that is broken apart, and I'm fairly certain they see themselves as like a part of him or something like that. So they basically worship machines, and there's a let me send you. I'll send you a
Yes, I'm
cool
ready.
image that's like related to these two religions that kind of shows them off. Because the other
Okay.
one, Sarkicism, is a belief in a god of flesh and life and death and horrible cursive
Ooh.
mutations and shit. So these two cults are kind of in an internal war, and a lot of SCPs are either made by them or by their gods or like a direct part of their gods or their conflict. And it's really cool to see how people, they don't just come up with these cool SCPs, they come up with cool SCPs and then tie them together with previously cool SCPs, and then people start tying it together into this, and it's, oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, no, like I've heard of people tying together SCPs in the past. I think it was SCP-999, I think. The little orange blob
Oh, that one. Yeah, that
that
one's
was like
the
tied together
cuddle
with another
goo.
SCP.
It's basically the most friendly SCP. They just let it wander around the facility and it just like hugs people, I think. It's cute.
Yeah, I love the idea of it. It's adorable. It's like
But
the one SCP that I really truly love, and I'm not
so
like too into SCPs, so that says something.
well, I should have put more cute stuff on here. I promise you
Oh,
what we
it's
get to after
fine.
these two is both
It's
cute
spooky season.
and really cool. Yes, it was.
It was. I'm a little sad. People now think it's Christmas season. It's not.
With its corporations doing their thing, man. Let's not get
Get
into
past
that.
Black Friday first. Anyway, yes.
Okay, so I'll let you pick between the machine or the flesh.
I want to know about the flesh.
I mean, we'll cover both of them, but it's the one we'll go for first, and I'm glad you picked that one because that's my favorite of these two.
Sounds cool. Don't get me
So,
wrong, I like machines and shit, but like it's always a lot cooler when it's the flesh, 'cause that shit is fucked up.
oh yes, oh yes, body horror. This one is especially body
Exactly.
horror. Um, SCP-610, the flesh that hates. Let me toss you the link if you want to skim along a little
Yeah,
bit.
I do want to read along a little bit.
This one's gonna be a
Very
little
nice.
hard to read along with because there's like the initial containment blah blah blah. That's just a block of text explaining. Because SCP-610
Insane.
is a highly transmissious disease that causes you to get a rash that starts growing scar tissue, and then you fucking die, and then you start moving again. But you're part of the scar tissue mind now, and it's
Oh, so
really
it's like a hive
mysterious.
mind.
We're gonna go briefly through like how the interesting part, the meat on this SCP is in the field logs, which is them poking into the affected area, which is in Russia. So my note
Of course.
my note here says Russian flesh virus.
Oh my god. Of course it does.
And if I remember correctly, like the Russian government tried to handle it and then reluctantly went, SCP Foundation, we need help. And then the SCP Foundation like put a fence around it, brought a shit ton of flamethrowers, and went, got it,
I like that so much. Just like we need help. Ah yes. Let us put up a fence.
contained. Oh shit! Do you know what safe, Euclid, and Keter means?
I would assume that safe means that it's safe.
Yeah. So
But I
originally,
don't know about Peter or Euclid or Keter, however you say it.
yeah, like the object classes used to just be those three. They're a little more complicated with more. They made this very nice looking type of card where if you know what the three different parts means, you can very easily tell how it's dangerous. Like in the new way, it like shows if it's like a physical, mental, or something like that kind of threat, and how much of those
Yeah.
it is together, I guess. But the original was safe. We understand it, and it's not harmful. Euclid, we don't understand it, and it might be harmful. Keter, it's definitely harmful, and we might not
Mm.
have a way of containing it, or barely have a way of containing it.
So it's like the most dangerous class.
Well, some Keter items are not in technically a threat because they're like contained. It might be like a very powerful creature that they have in a site where they have to like daily spray it down with acid or something like that to contain it. So they have it and keep it contained, but were it to ever escape, yes, problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's like the very simple, brief, and I guess that really is all you need to know about those three things. But
That
you,
that is good to know though, because I've been wondering about what those like classes are. Obviously, except for safe. The safe is just like, oh yeah, obviously
yeah,
it's safe.
safe might
Like
actually
safe.
also be potentially dangerous things, but they're just like an object.
That you can easily contain.
Exactly, and they have contained, and it's not like a greater threat to society at large. There might be some freaky shit that is not even like Keter or even Euclid just because they have it perfectly on lockdown or it's neutralized. Then it doesn't say safe, then it says neutralized. That's fun.
Oh,
Some Euclid
okay.
SCPs are very weird because they're not dangerous, they're just odd, or they are very dangerous and they have. The reason why it's not Keter is because they have no fucking idea how to put it in Keter.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a bit off track.
It's all right. I'm still curious to hear about this flesh thing.
Yeah, so the details of how it works itself, I don't exactly remember how it goes down bit for bit, but you start getting sick and you get a really scratchy rash that starts growing. And at one point, I think when it reaches your heart or your brain or whatever, it's like it might be when it reaches a specific part or you just have a specific amount of it, your heart stops and then resets after a few minutes, and then you're a part of the flesh and you keep
Oh, so it
growing.
like
Oh yeah.
kills you. It like kills you.
Yeah, it kills you. I don't remember if you, I think it might be because you like die from the other symptoms, or they're specifically there so you die so it can like fully control you. um
Yeah.
I think you may not be fully dead in all cases, because it's definitely not a fully set in stone process, because none of the creatures are the same, and it seems to be able to affect possibly anything, because at one point they encounter flying ones that don't even resemble birds but might have been birds, and at another point there's like a deer being sucked into a wall. We'll get to that when we look at
Huh.
the hole. Anyway, so you have died. You are part of the flesh. You're a shambling growth thingy that slowly starts growing less and less human. And at one point, you can't move anymore. And at that point, you just sort of sit there and start generating heat and like growing onto the surrounding terrain as it just spreads all over. And then the area will start to get warmer and warmer as more of these bodies generate more of this heat and like spreads it. And
Yeah.
as you'll see later, it also spreads underground, apparently.
Oh.
Or maybe because, again, like a lot of these, it's not fully explained, so you can theorize and be more afraid of it.
Yeah.
So the first thing they did is they send in like a small rover to see if they can spot missing personnel,
Mm.
and they send it into a village. I think they send it in to like find missing Russian soldiers. Um, and it like scoots in and it sees all the shambling, infecting people walking around, and like follows one of them into its house, where it just walks around, and like there's a bunch of other ones in there just standing still, and it just walks around the table in the center of the room and stops in front of one of them now and then, but it's ignoring the one under the table. It's very specifically ignoring that one. And then at one point, it like stops for a prolonged amount of time in front of one that can't seem to move properly. And then it beats the shit out of it. And
What the fuck?
the one in the corner starts screaming until it stops, and then the other one stops, and then it spews spores into the air for a bit, and the big one stands in it, and then it continues shambling around and stopping in front of the others, but now it's also ignoring the one it just beat up. So, and then it sits down at the table, and its face like spurts down onto the table and plops down parts of itself, like its face, the thing that spurts out, like plops down on plates and leaves that bit on each plate, and then a bunch of other ones just walk in and eat all this stuff. There's a bunch of very weird things like that going on that are being described very clearly, so it seems like they have purpose, you know? That is very
Yeah.
specific behavior.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, definitely.
My theory is that when it was walking around, that's perhaps it testing to see when the host bodies are no longer usable, and the one in the corner was completely weakened, so it was better to I don't know, because they don't die. It just stopped moving, and it's technically still a part of I don't it's complicated. It's weird. So the rover gets
Definitely
fucked.
sounds weird. Like,
The rover stops because it like spotted a perfectly intact 12-year-old or 10-year-old girl's face on one of the infected thingies. And
oh
then the
my
face
god.
opened up and fucking murked the rover.
I was gonna say poor rover, but luckily it's just a piece of machinery.
Yeah, too bad. And then the video feed cuts back later and shows some creepy shit that seems to be okay. Video feed from Herbie folk. Perfect. No, yeah, it's like a it's like a face that stares at it, and then it balloons in size and destroys the rover.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So after that, they were constructing the perimeter fencing surrounding the area, and a bunch of Class D personnel were infected due to assault from the infected villagers or animals roaming the area. So they decided that we've got a bunch of people who are going to die from this no matter what. So they each gave them 1 gallon container of gasoline, 3 emergency flares, 3 9mm pistols with magazines of ammo for each, three nine single serving food rations. Oh, that's what. No, okay. So they gave them a flare each, a gallon of gasoline, 3 pistols with a magazine, and a serving of food. And then they sent them into the area with video equipment and told them to find out what they could and burn something that seemed important.
Oh my god.
So as they start to trot into the area further and further, it gets warmer and warmer, and it's really fucking humid. And they start
Yeah.
noticing that the bodies, the area is less and less normal looking, and more flesh growing across the ground and on like covering entire structures and shit. It's weird, and they notice multiple ones that are like immobile here and there, seeming, clearly being the origin points of the flesh growths here and there, until they reach a large giant. Okay, let me actually read the fucking thing. Uh, yeah, they suspected the area to be a origin point because they'd spotted fewer mobile ones than at other sites. So they also hoped that the Class D would probably have less luck of being murdered. Uh, on the walk, they actually had to put one of them down as soon as it started getting hotter because he was already succumbing to the shit. Oh, right, a detail I
Yeah.
forgot to mention. It can sometimes go be as fast as days to minutes. So, five
Holy
minutes
shit.
and you die.
That is incredible. Like you touch this shit
Yup,
and like 5 minutes later you're just like dead.
yup. It is
Or at least no
extremely
longer
infectious.
yourself.
It doesn't spread through the air or the water yet, they specify, but if you are like unprotected and anywhere near this shit, they basically have to assume you're fucked.
Yeah.
Uh, One of the first immediately noticed traits about Site C is an array of immobile pylons which encircle what is believed to be the entirety of the site, separated by an apparent distance of 5 to 6 meters. Each pylon appears to be 2 to 4 infected persons fused together in one spot. On some of these pylon, features such as faces or anuses are still visible, in addition to several other holes which do not naturally occur, all appearing to act as heat vents. Where the heat is generated is unknown. Current belief is that this is an advanced stage of SCP-610 terraforming its environment to facilitate spread of itself. So basically, it keeps the temperature around 32 degrees Celsius, that's 89 Fahrenheit,
God,
by generating
that's
heat
warm.
and pumping it out of holes so the flesh can
Oh my god.
grow.
Yeah.
Uh, So the temperature began to rise, and they decided to burn a giant. Actually, no, I might be jumping in it. God damn it, this thing is longer than I thought. Um,
That's all right. It's interesting to listen to.
because I'm not covering all the details, you know. I'm just
Yeah.
looking for a specific part. I want to make sure I get it right, you know. Uh, do do do. In these hot, yeah, the temperatures as perimeter controls relaying new instructions to I1 and DI3 regarding the situation. There is a shift in the ground covering the site C where DI. Oh yeah, so they had to put one of them down after they like saw these pylons, and then while they were getting new messages from control, the ground just fucking split up under the corpse, and tendrils came out and pulled the corpse into the ground that then closed back up. Yeah, that happened within 3 seconds. It specifies that because this is a document describing video footage. 3 seconds. Ground opens, tendrils come out, body gone, ground close.
Oh my God.
Um, and then the temperatures. I think. Oh yeah, I think he turned because the temperatures got higher, and that makes it spread faster. Um, so they decide to act quickly, uh, and they proceed to the center of the village, previously unknown, and they discover another previously unknown phenomenon. In the precise center of town, rising above what was the community well, is a sphere suspended by angled supports comprised of SCP-610 flesh. This ball is riddled with the features of humans in early stages of SCP-610 infection, as well as good number assumed to be in later stages. A number of specimens of non-human life forms such as deer and bears are also visible within the mass. The entire sphere of flesh pulses at roughly a 5-second interval, and with each pulse emits a ring of spore-like material from its equator. This material floats to the ground and appears to be absorbed into the converted environment. So something like this, whoever wrote this very clearly have an idea of what they want to be happening here. They very clearly know
Yeah.
what's going on, or they just came up with something extremely specific for no reason. If that's the case, that's also cool. Um, so then one of them begins to douse the sphere with the gasoline, and he explains, well, it looks like as good as a thing to burn as any. Um, and the control stops giving them commands and just sort of, wants to see what's going on. um,
Mm.
do, do, and there's no reaction from anything within the area to any of their activity until they light the emergency flare and they apply it to the spherical mass, which immediately goes up into flames. The remote feed plays back a noise from an unknown location that seems to come from a location far outside of Site C, but was reported as being heard even at perimeter control by both Site C and A. So that's fuck off far away, by the way. This noise is described as both explosives, as if multiple high yield charges were detonated on a mountainside, and alive, like a large feral creature roaring. Within 15 seconds following this sound's dissipation, Side A reported that a series of explosions had occurred within the village. 5 seconds after this report, the spherical mass in the middle of sectors of Site C explodes. So they lit it on fire. They hear a fucking scream throughout the entire area, giant area, by the way. Um,
Mm.
and then something in another site explodes before the thing in their site then explodes. Uh, and then they're basically just fucking dead. Actually, no. DI1 and DI3 are thrown by the blast. DI3 is confirmed deceased by DI1 after regaining his footing, having suffered injury from stone shrapnel from the well. DI1 is able to report he has bruises and ringing ears, but aside from the rapidly spreading SCP-610 infection, he suffered no blast damage. Uh, Something draw his attention back to the center of town, where he stares for several moments, then is pulled in the opposite direction, the video equipment falling to the ground and recording in a skyward direction. The last moments of footage from DI1's video unit display a humanoid figure moving through the air, followed by the sound of an impact in the same direction. Within 3 seconds of this event, an unknown creature steps upon the recording equipment and destroys it. Um, so that was weird, huh? So after the destruction of the Site C exploration, they it resulted in a bunch of unexpected events in Site A, which was where the rover went in the first part. Um, Happened Site A, recorded by aerial drones. Yeah, the immobile SCP-610 infected rapidly shriveled and died, along with all of the flesh material spread across the inanimate objects um, within the village. The mobile SCP-610 infected who were able to regain their footing all proceeded to what appears to have formerly been an upper-class residence and entered the building. As the infected entered this dwelling, it suffered a foundational collapse, revealing the presence of a sinkhole beneath it. The size of the hole in relation to the structure above it posed an impossibility for an entire building to collapse, suggesting something within the hole applied force directly to the structure with the intent to pull it inside and expose the hole. The revealed hole is approximately large enough to accommodate 3 grown men standing shoulder to shoulder. Light sources applied by remote drones failed to penetrate further than 4 meters depth into the hole. Objects dropped into the hole do not produce an impact sound, suggesting a bottom potentially more than 1,000 meters down. So the next file is the first time they sent something into that hole.
Mm.
Um, so they send a drone into this hole, and it starts going down. At 15
Yeah.
meters descent, there are traces of SCP-610 material attached to the dirt. Oh, wait, no. Audio from the outs. I should just read this part from the fucking beginning. Audio from the outside world fades away as the camera angles itself down and peers into the darkness within the sinkhole. After approximately 2 minutes of descent, lights on the drone activate and illuminate a roughly dug shaft. Initially, it is unclear what could have created the hole, but at a glance, it would appear the shaft was created by a single event rather than dug over time. At 15 meters, there are traces of SCP-610 material attached to the dirt and stuck to the rocks. The material is dormant, but retains its texture and appearance, unlike samples from above ground level, which shrivel and dry rapidly. There is a possible connection with this material and the events last recording during uh, at 100 meters, it starts to branch uh, and it starts to just branch out at random intervals, and some of the tunnels don't seem to go anywhere. Um,
Mm.
at 250 meters, the bottom of the sinkhole becomes visible and the tunnel slopes sharply, suggesting a natural formation, which was already suspected. Drone video shifts to illuminate this tunnel, and drone proceeds forward through the area. Um, so this entire area is just fully coated in SCP-610. The fucking scar tissue flesh growth. It's just
Yeah.
covering everything. You know, the entirety of the walls in these caves just seemingly made by it. Um, and then it describes that the camera spots a deer that's being apprehended by the wall. That's freaky. Um, and it keeps going for quite a bit, commenting on how the stuff starts looking a little different the deeper it gets. And then there's running water that it does a test off, and they find out is like, oh, they don't have the groundwater is not contaminated, huh? So the tunnel
That's
splits.
good to
Oh,
know though. Like they can drink the water if they get thirsty.
oh yeah, of course. They can still share the water without making everybody else sick. That's cool. That's nice of them. They want to do it with
Yeah,
their own grubby,
like
fleshy hands.
yeah, like that's cool. That's good.
Or maybe it's a case where they just haven't figured out how to put it in the water yet. Just now I just see a sad flesh creature just standing over like a running river, just staring at it, just not moving, just standing there in front of it.
Yeah, just like I'm not allowed to touch this. Mom said I couldn't touch this.
No, no, it like tries to stick its hand in there, but its hand just falls off and slowly goes down the stream, and then it gets like stuck on a branch on this side,
Yeah.
then it sinks its head a little further.
Oh my God.
So basically, they find a new site, which is Site B, and there's like no life at all. It looks like the stuff was here a long time ago.
Yeah.
And on its way back into the hole, it gets fucking ambushed by a giant humanoid face, 20 times the size of a normal humanoid head, that just comes up, fucking kills it, and it doesn't have any hair or teeth or anything like that. It's just a smooth face just coming up, and then drone no more. Um,
Huh. Joan, Joan beat it.
oh, and after that, the drone feed actually returned, and it showed a series of structures illuminated by one of the two lights on the drone. The camera pans around without instructions from the remote relays or HQ, capturing a vast number of shambling entities within the area. SCP-610 material moves over the lens of the drone, and video feed is permanently severed. So can you guess what they do next? They find the weird Russian flesh virus. They start
Of course
making
they
a
do.
fence around the virus after they find out how weird it is and how there's just piles of people being absorbed by this shit and they're all over the place. You know, they go, nope, fence. Dudes get sick. They send them in and they light something on fire and something blows up kilometers away and now there's a big ass hole and they send a thing down to the hole and the hole keeps going and then the thing gets murked by a giant face, but oh wait, then it confirms there's a lot of them. And can you guess what they do with all of this information?
No,
Manned,
I can't do that.
manned exploration was approved.
Oh, of course.
They sent dudes in there.
Of course they did. They're like, hey, this thing is dangerous. Let's go explore it instead of just like fence it off and burn it. No, 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 no. Let's explore it and risk people's lives. That's clever.
So I won't go into this thing that much because this is like the fucking finale of the whole thing, and it's really cool and it suggests a bunch of things. But basically, they
Yeah.
like explore into the place and find an underground church where a part of the really freaky shit is there were perfectly normal people attached to a darker, different looking substance of the stuff that was seemingly feeding off of them. So
Huh.
that was neat. They
Yeah.
seemed fully conscious, just hanging on the ceiling, by the way.
Hanging out.
Yep. Also,
Oh
hey,
my
hey, do you know why
God.
they thought it was okay to send the guys in there? They went, okay, this stuff's dangerous, gunfire don't work good on it, but it's okay. We gave them flamethrowers.
Ah, yes, because flamethrowers last forever.
Yeah, see, that's exactly the thing. They don't, and they worked really good until they didn't, and then most of these dudes died. But I won't go
They
into how they
probably
died.
worked for about like 10 minutes.
I'm pretty sure they have like at least one flamethrower all the way to the end, but yeah, most of them disappear.
Yeah.
But I think that's where we'll leave the flesh that hates. Oh, one last thing. Like the flesh that hates is tied to that whole uh fucking fucking sarcasm. It's tied to sarcasm, or well, I'm not sure if it's like confirmed that they made it or that they just see it as a. It's either that they see it as a gift from their god and they see it as holy, or they made it and released it to try and weaponize it. But they have weaponized it. So I don't know if
Huh.
it's their creation or not, but they definitely see it as a holy part of their mission.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the SCPs relating to the Church of the Broken God, in my experience, are a little more weird. They're a little more distant and hinty connections because if you're tied to an eldritch flesh god, it's kind of obvious.
Yeah. Like generally if you're tied to some eldritch, um it like people will know, dude. People will know.
Well, especially if it's a highly mutational, keep evolving, constantly changing life is life kind of god, because that's the
Yeah.
kind of thing that makes your arm turn into five heads or another dude. It makes you
Yeah.
two dudes. That's what that do. But a lot
Mhm.
of the ones that are tied to the Church of the Broken God, I feel like a bunch of them, maybe not all of them. I don't know if I've gone through like even half of them related to the Church of the Broken God personally, so I might be talking out of my ass here. But if I do know a little bit about what I'm talking about, which I may, like I'm saying, I might not. Um, a lot of them, in my experience, seem to be like an artifact that someone related to the Church of the Broken God either found out about or knew about or created or supposedly created, or they just have an interest in it because it might be created to their god. And then there's also something that's just, there's also one I think is just straight up the heart of the broken god, that is literally the heart of the broken god. And they know that because they captured people worshiping it and asked them, why do you worship this? It's the heart of the god, the broken god. Ah. This
Why
one.
you do this?
Hmm?
No, it's just like why you do this,
Yeah.
you know. That it's fine.
This one doesn't feel like you wouldn't know this one was connected to the Church of the Broken God if I hadn't just told you about them. And um, SCP-1461, House of the Worm. Um, I
Okay.
it might. I think it's also tied directly to sarcasm because House of the Worm is like a perfectly normal house, except it has layers upon layers of underground levels with weird factory machinery that doesn't seem functional but was making weird stuff. Oh, yeah, and in the lower levels, there are also humanoid machine. They have parts of their bodies replace. They have like they might, instead of having an arm, they might having a claw pike thing with hydraulics, and then instead of teeth, they have spikes of steel. So yeah, and those are just roaming the lower levels, including a few that it mentions are specifically Foundation personnel. So it's made more of them since then.
Oh, of course.
And through a journal in the lower, a few SCPs are a weird thing, and then there's a journal explaining a bit more, which might seem tropey, but I mean, really, how else are you going to explain this? Uh, the journal goes into a story of this man who built all of this. Well, in part, he was a soldier during World War One, and the things he saw there gave him nightmares that weren't necessarily related to the war, but something else.
Yeah.
And he saw in his mind visions that gave him the blueprints to a machine to stop what he calls the worm, which I later found out the worm is another thing that is related to sarcasm, so he might have been a unknowing follower of the machine god who got visions from the machine god to stop and battle the god of the flesh, and they took advantage of them, got the machine built, and then they got plopped in another reality where everything was empty and gray around them, and all of the people he had there who'd helped him build this fortress, this whole place, slowly all got mad and killed each other and him and his son, and it's a lot of fucked. I'm not gonna go into the full details because this one is it's a good story, okay?
Yeah.
I've
It
just
sounds like it. It sounds very interesting.
it's oof. I'll just read like the last little part of it. I am what you have made me. I am choice and I am tyranny. Forgive me. I am then and I am now. What gods they will be then. I am evil and I am flesh. I am the trap. I am the trapped. I am beauty and I am chaos. Children are selfish. I am the worm. I have broken God. So
Ooh.
yeah, the worm is clearly the god of the flesh who broke the machine god,
Yeah.
and he was trying to build this bastion for the machine god, and I'm not fully certain what exactly happened, who won this interaction. By the end, it's unclear. Nobody really ends in the end in the SCPU universe. There's a lot of stories of how the world ends.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of. They have multiple code names for how bad the fallout of a situation is. If this SCP breaks out, it will be a so and so situation to clean up with, so we'd need a so and so cover story and this and that operation. And then half of them is literally just, yeah, we're fucked.
It's yeah, no,
We can't cover
I get
this. It's
that.
fucked.
It's like half of them are just like, well, we might as well get a hold of the president and be honest with what's happening, because we can't cover this up.
The next one, which it might be just my favorite overall because honestly, it's like, oof, it hits you in the feels. It gets you with the magnificence and the wonder. It's SCP-1762, Where the Dragons Went. I've got a GIF based off it right on the thingy thingy. It's basically just a cardboard box
Oh,
where,
it's that one.
yeah, and
I
sometimes
was
it
wondering why
opens
it
and
was
little
a box.
paper mache dragons of all shapes and sizes come out and fly around. And they play with each other and they play with whoever's nearby and they're really friendly. Sometimes there was a message. And what I'll be reading are these messages, because the document itself consists of the description of the notes and the first events that happened, and then there's a very long, detailed description of a bunch of. The story suggests that there is a separate realm of our imagination, our fantasy, with like all of the creatures man used to believe in that exist there. Um, and apparently a person somehow ventured in there at one point and made a book about all of the creatures they found in there, and that's like the other half of the page is just the random creatures and lore of this place the dragons refer to as fantasy. We won't
Yeah.
we won't be reading that though, because that's the fun extra meat of it. We'll be going through the shorter events with the box itself, because that's honestly also a part of the touchy bit. So it's basically just a plain cardboard box. That's just written on the side. It just says "Here be dragons." No, it's written on the lid. "Here be dragons," and like nothing
I like
happens
that.
when you open it.
What, so it's just like empty
Yep,
when you open it?
it's just spray
Oh.
painted silver on the interior and it's oh no, it's just it's not fully plain. It's spray painted fully silver and reads "Here be dragons" on the lid in black permanent marker. So it feels like a kid made it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Or like an adult helping a kid playing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, who gives their kid silver spray paint nowadays anyway?
Yeah, I mean, nowadays it'd be like, oh, kids, don't do this. Get an adult to do this. So, you know. But anyway.
Boo. So infrequently it will just start releasing like the small dragons in all kinds of like it might be like western dragons or eastern dragons or wyverns or shit like that, just all flying around together, while it emits black smoke for like 20 seconds, and then after a while the dragons go back into the box.
And it's just for like 20 seconds.
No, 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 that's just the smoke part. That's just the smoke
Oh,
part.
okay.
They vary in length from 9 to 30. Oh no, that's the dragons. Where's the time? Western Square, be it form similar. Okay. Oh yeah, and they also specify that they are very similar to actual origami dragons that you could make, but they're alive and moving.
Oh,
So they have like tiny limbs and everything, and they fly around with their little wings.
that's adorable.
Yeah, and they just play with people. It's absolutely brilliant. Um, This is the first, and now we'll get into what they've gotten here as the Jabberwocky event, which is when they start leaving notes. This is the first recorded instance of. Oh wait, I should probably start with the event. On
Yeah.
redacted date, year 20 redacted, SCP-1762 1762-1 began to undergo a series of events that lasted 11 months and 28 days. These events, as well as the prior incidents that led up to the beginning of the scenario, have now been classified under the title the Jabberwocky event. This is the first recorded instance of SCP-1762-1 opening while contained at Site whatever. You have found
Yeah.
us. Thank you. It has been so long since we last saw each other, friends. The peace has been upheld. The giants and behemoths have kept their word and have not caused any trouble since last you came and gave the order. We missed your company. How has your family been? Do you still know how to work your room? You are welcome to visit any time, is what a note said left after the first time the box opened.
Huh.
Second time the box opened, it read, "It's strange to see how much your world has changed. It is even stranger to see how we now appear in this place. In fantasy, we are much bigger, or maybe you've grown taller. Fantasy is still the same. We hope you can visit us like you used to, through our room, as grand, though our room as grand as ever. It appears yours has shrunken? We do not understand. The rooms were supposed to be maintained, as was our agreement. Please restore the belief.
Hmm.
The next time the box opened, no, this is like a year later. Only 12 instances of SCP-1762-2 appeared during this event. Said instances did not lift off and instead walked slowly on foot for the whole period of they were out of SCP-1762-1. The note read, "Friends, we apologize for a few numbers. We've had to remain in fantasy for quite some time. The others are growing impatient. We're trying to keep the peace, but please, for all of our happiness, repair the room quickly. We know you are trying. Your family is the most imaginative of us all."
I'm gonna have to stop you there real quick because I think I have to help my brother with Summit.
Oh,
So give me just 5 minutes.
uh, waiting music, go. Why did I shut down
Yes.
the music? Uh, uh, um, fucking, ba ba da ba 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 da ba bum ba 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 da bum ba 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 da bum. Oh, thank God I actually got the music up here. Oh fuck, we're back. We're back. We're back.
Okay, it's like super hot in my room, so it's getting really, really difficult for me to focus.
Oh, relatable.
Yeah. Anyway,
Uh, let's see. We
we
got
got to we
uh,
got to the
your family is the most imaginative of us all.
yeah.
Um, Then the next one, along with 10 instances of SCP-1762-2 appearing, 3 balls of yellow crumpled construction paper were expelled from SCP-1762-1. These pieces were observed to shake violently for 5 seconds, then ceased all further movement. They were picked up by SCP-1762-2 and returned to... I'm not going to read out the name of it again. I'm just going to call them the dragons in the box from now on.
Yeah.
Because
Understandable.
it's fun to read the names and sound prof, but we're not here to sound prof. This isn't the Vulgan.
We're
This
here,
is type it
we're here
out.
to have fun. Yeah, we're here to have fun.
And that was
We're trying.
basically also an Adeptus Ridiculous joke because they like to make a joke where they go, "Hey, this isn't Luton," because he's a hardcore Warhammer lore YouTuber. "This ain't Luton. This is Adeptus Ridiculous. This ain't the Vulcan. This is type it out." And if he's gonna call them SCP-1762-2 and SCP-1762-1 every time, I'm gonna call them the dragons in the box from now on.
Oh yeah, no, understandable. I would honestly do the same.
So
It's
anyway,
too late.
the notes that followed was, "The giants were foolish. Your room was not ready to accept them yet. We're sorry, friends. We hope that we can still see you, but time is growing short for our happiness." It's getting sad.
Yeah.
5 instances of the dragons emerged carrying said document. They immediately returned to the box after depositing it on the floor. Oh shit, wait, is the message... No, it's not the message first and then the fucking... No. Um, Tensions are rising. Fantasy is becoming darker. We, the serpents and the hybrids, are furiously trying to hold them back, but the giants and elves wish to strike and make an entrance. They say that your family has grown stupid and ignorant. We hope this untrue. It would sadden us greatly to know that you have forgotten. Um, the next one is where it starts getting hard. A single red dragon emerged from the box. Its wings were torn, and it was notably crumpled. It collapsed onto the floor 1 minute later and did not move again. Upon expiration, the body of the dragon rapidly unfolded and revealed a message written on the white side of the paper. War. Goodbye, friends. 2 hours.
Oh.
Two. It's not done. 2 hours
I know.
later, the box opened and emitted flames that reached 2 meters in height and temperatures of 1,700 degrees Celsius. Sounds of distant roaring were heard from within the box. At 8 o'clock, a large amount of torn paper pieces and paper balls were ejected from the box. Several damaged dragons were also expelled and were deemed deceased upon examination. The box continued to sporadically open and close for the next 6 weeks. During this time, it continued to emit fire as the amount of paper discharged from it steadily decreased. Matter resembling muscle and tissue was continuously expelled from the box at an increasing frequency. The box remained closed and inactive for the next 7 months. Um, this document was discovered lying inside the interior of SCP-1762. Oh, wait, no. Should we stop for a second? Talk about what we just went over.
We just went over a war, like nothing happened. Like the way you nonchalantly went past the war, like, oh yeah, no, stuff like
No, I'm sorry. I'm
issues
sorry.
and
I just kept reading.
you
It's because it's just
were just
sprawled
like,
out,
yeah, no, just a war. It's whatever. Now on to the next document.
See, the
Like,
thing,
okay.
I feel like one of the things that really makes me sad about this is like it gives you this feeling of you want and wish you could do something, but you can't. And you have no fucking idea what you even could. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
these cute dragons come out of a box. Oh, there's drama and a whole world in that box where you're not cute dragons. You're going to war. We have forgotten. Wait, tell us. Tell us. No, don't go die. No. They didn't tell
Yeah,
us.
no, like I wanna know. I wanna know what's happening next.
Um a document was discovered lying inside the box. It was written on parchment and many of the words had been blurred or stained with blood. Are you still out there, friends? We missed you dearly. Fantasy is no longer safe. Our haven, your beautiful creation, is gone. The giants are dead. The centaurs are dead. The birds have fled. We're going to bury your room. We cannot risk hurting you. This is our goodbye. Maybe one day your family can build another room. This may be a hollow hope, but we will cherish this thought. 1 hour later, the box began to shake and emit smoke for 15 minutes, after which it began to sack and collapse. Several portions of the box began to char and tear, creating small burn holes throughout. The words, "Here be dragons," on the lid of the box were burned away. Uh,
Seconds are gone.
This is the final message obtained from the box. It was written in ink on papyrus scroll and also depicted a scene of a painted mountainous landscape filled with large trees and waterfalls. A single winged dragon can be seen in the background. It appears to be flying away. The message is written in black ink in the bottom right-hand corner. Master says that we won't see you again. We are sad, so are the remaining others. We once filled each other's heads with dreams and goals. It is so sad that we cannot share them any longer. Master says we have to go. He says that he will make us a new fantasy. He says you cannot be a part of it. We are sad. We love you. We will not forget you. We are scared. Will you forget us? Upon removal of the document, salt water began to leak from the box, and the burn marks that had covered the container began to disappear. 3 minutes later, the box had been restored to its original state. The words, "Here be dragons," were replaced with the words, "Here were dragons." And that's the end of the Jabberwocky event.
Oh my god.
And then the
I wanted to
rest is a detailed description of parts of their world, which we won't
Oh,
go
really?
into.
Fuck you.
No, it's because there's so much. It's basically one of those creature books, like a Spiderwick book or something you'd buy as a kid. It's basically one of
Yeah.
those. Well, not even as a kid. I still think those books are cool. Fantasy. It's not because I wouldn't want us to go into it, but you know, I thought you didn't like SCPs.
I never said I don't like them. I just said they never really interested me all that much.
But like I told you, it's just because it's really hard to find the ones that'll catch your eye, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean,
Like,
I already knew. Like, the only reason that the guy on TikTok caught my eye was because he kept duetting videos of a guy that would make like monster videos or whatever. There was this thing called
ah,
Little Chef, and it was like, really sweet. I love it. He still does it every now and then, but yeah, no. So that's the one who kind of got me into it, but I'm still
alright.
not like full into it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it took me a couple of tries where I like sat down and went through a bunch of the SCPs first and trying to read
Yeah.
them myself, and then I got tired of that, and then I started watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts. It took me a couple of
Mm.
tries, but then I found out how to look for what I'm for from what I like, and then in general to just appreciate like just the whole thing overall. Sometimes it's fun if you don't know what you want to do, but you kind of want to read something. Just go on there, pick a random series, and then pick a random number. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Also, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the we're taking a break screen is still on.
Oh fuck, right, that's true.
Because I've just been like staring at that for the past like 10 or 15 minutes, and
Well,
I'm just like, are we still taking a break? Because I'm fairly sure we just read a whole lot about dragons and fantasy, and I like that.
shit. I'm making the dragons bigger. The
Yes! As compensation, make them big!
I don't know why I kept them that small because it's already pixel art, so it's not gonna have pixelation issues if I made it bigger. So why didn't I just make it? I don't know.
Make it massive. Also, I don't know if all of y'all heard,
We did.
but my brother just sneezed and it was adorable.
I. That's a good question if they did. I guess we'll never know.
Uh,
Anyway, here's an example of how random this is. This can be while just looking through if I could find any I'd read before I remember were good or really interesting. You know, if I'd forgotten about a great one. I just found SCP-1004 factory porn.
uh, oh, okay.
So basically, it's just a bunch of CD discs, blank CDs that say factory porn. You put it into a computer. I think you might be able to get it as a floppy disk too, and then you run a program named the factory.exe. Um, then it asks you, it tells you to come with a request, and then you can put in anything. And it'll show you pornographic images that, when clicked on, is a full video of whatever you typed, whatever, but it doesn't seem to have been made in actual reality. And the more of it you watch, the more depraved your genuine sexuality will be after that. So, yeah.
Huh.
It so what I'm getting at this is it's basically real porn, but just worse.
Worse.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure if you watch enough real porn, you'll get bored of it and get bored of normal stuff in general. I'm pretty sure that's a
Yeah.
real thing. There's like a whole faction in Warhammer 40K based around that, so that's funny.
Oh my God.
It's
Why?
Oh, okay. So their society was super successful and just spanned the entire galaxy, and then they had everything they wanted and nothing to worry about. So they began getting more and more deprived desires to even fuel anything, and that all culminated and got so bad they created a god of desire and love and hatred, of pain and
Huh.
pleasure. They literally created that through having too many murder orgies. And now all of their race that are left are the people that found out how to make rocks so that God can't steal their soul, or the people that kept doing fucked freaky shit and do it so much that she can't touch them.
Huh.
And that's the space elves. That's the Eldar and Dark Eldar in 40k. That's a tiny 40k lesson there for you.
Okay.
Let's talk about something else than factory porn, like 507,
Yeah.
which is the last
Okay.
one I've got on my list here.
Okay.
Because I didn't just want to talk about the big famous one everybody talks about, because then especially everybody is going to know about that, so there's not going to be anything interesting to come for. This is a pretty popular one, but it's popular for a really good reason. So
Yeah. Most stuff is.
SCP 507. It's basically a normal guy who's slightly overweight who randomly will disappear and reappear in the exact same spot in an alternate dimension. And then, after a random amount of time, sometimes days, once, weeks, and months, I think, he'll
Huh.
disappear and reappear back in our reality. Uh,
Huh.
so most of this file is his descriptions of different realities he was in, and once two others of him appeared in our reality and they had a very fun conversation about what was different in their worlds. That was cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and they also gave him this thing where he could, like, after each trip to a place, he could request one item, and if they deemed it okay for him to be granted, they just gave it to him. Uh, so he could keep on his person at all times, in case he gets thrown somewhere where he might need something. Like rations, warm clothing, fake
Yeah.
gun. After one of them, I believe it was like a completely dark, creepy place or a place full of spiders or something like that. The thing he requested was a hug, and it was granted.
Oh. Oh, that's adorable. It was like, oh, I'm in this really scary place. I just want a hug.
Yeah, yeah, he was in a really fucking spooky place, and it says, okay, so it says document title, and then it tells what happens and where he was. Um, and then it says the request afterwards and whether or not it was granted. Um,
Yeah.
and literally one of them is just completely terrifying, utter dimensional shenanigans. Request a hug granted.
Oh my God.
He's just a poor
That's so
guy who
sweet.
sometimes, while taking a shit or playing video games or making a sandwich, just looks up and now
Disappear.
he's in Earth and everybody is dead.
Oh.
Yeah, that's cool. That was the SCPs I prepared to talk about today. I feel like maybe I could have gone a little bit more into House of the Worm, but that one's kind of hard to break apart because it doesn't go into a lot of its details, like a lot of them don't. But
Like,
especially this
not
one, it
just
kind of
that.
just keeps going.
Like, yeah, no, like I was skimming the text. I've been skimming the text of all of them, right?
Yeah, and the reason why I can't go through
Very,
that one is because it's very long and it sort of just keeps going and it's doing its thing. And if you want to get its vibe and get the story out of it too, you gotta just read this one for yourself.
yeah, no, I mean not just that, but it seems like House of Worms is like
No, no, just the
um
worm.
yeah, sorry.
I think
Okay,
it
I'm
might
not
actually
I
just be worm, like just singular, not even the, just worm.
it's the House of Worm.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, no, like it seems like it's just a lot of very general knowledge. Like it didn't seem like it was going into too much detail with any of the sub levels.
I mean,
It was just
yeah.
like, oh, this seems like it is.
Yeah, that's also in part, I think, because the rooms are shifting and changing a bit. I believe they mentioned they can't properly map it. And I think the reason is because the rooms are the same, but they shift. Kind of like the
Yeah.
Gungeon in Enter the Gungeon. Y'all ever played Enter the Gungeon? Cute and deadly. I love that game. What were we talking about?
We were talking about House of Worm.
All right.
Um,
So can you tell why I'm addicted to listening to the Vulcan smooth voice reading these things out loud now?
maybe? Not really, to be
Nah.
honest.
Well, honestly, I'm not quite addicted. It's like if I see an interesting or cool sounding one, I go, all right, I want to be spooked right now. There's also like
Yeah.
one that was basically turning people into vampires, where they had like creepy bloodsucker tongues, and they gather
Oh my
people's blood and
god.
crawl back to their pit and feed their queen. Excuse me.
Oh my god.
I really like. There's a bunch of SCPs where they take like a very common horror trope or thing in horror media or just folklore, and then they twist it and include it in the universe, but twisted. So
Yeah, so it's their own thing.
yeah, so the title they give it also sort of feels more like the people comparing it to what we call it, like the vampires. They're technically not, vampires, even though there's an old Russian babushka who describes them as vampires. And what an old Russian babushka tells you about blood-sucking creatures in the night, you gotta listen to. Wait,
Oh hell yeah.
she's not a Russian, she's Romanian, I think, actually. Because I think it's literally in Transylvania. Now I gotta look it up. God fucking do 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 vampire SCP. It's gotta be the most popular one. Yep, it is, and it's the Dracula Factory 2191. Right on. Do 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 2191. That's not that far. And there she is, Dracula Factory. I'm pretty sure. Description: temple complex located within the dense Hoa for. Yeah, it's in Romania. It's in Transylvania, guys. Ooh.
Whoa.
And it's a blood spread virus that turns your body into a freakish, pale humanoid bloodsucker. Or something like that. It might also be a No, I think it's actually a parasitic thing. Is it? Yeah, it's a pretty complex one. See, this is one of those where they have a lot of detail on it because the Foundation has had a bunch of time to do its research. Because I feel like they can really easily get away with making things vague because that's just what they know, you know?
Yeah.
It's really cool to see all of these random ideas being able to keep each other they're able to exist by existing together, and the fact that they're just existing together is making their existence stronger by making stories, they intermingle and all that, and it's just amazing. Hold on, this isn't the fucking SCP Foundation page. This is a fucking rip-off website. Wait, no, it's what? 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 No, no. Oh, it's just a different format because it's another series where I guess they momentarily changed the format. Did,
Uh,
we've nearly been going for 2 hours. Let's
it's
tricky,
it's very normal
tricky,
for us.
tricky. That's not a nice thing to leave in chat. That's you little sneaky you little sneaky memester, man. You little you little you made me put on the end screen. That's your fault now.
Oh no.
B, what do you have to say to this? No, no.
I don't. I don't know.
Oh,
No, honestly, like, um, I really enjoyed listening to just you talking about SCPs. I know it's very quiet this episode because I don't know a whole lot about SCPs.
next time you'll get to educate me on something, maybe.
Oh my God, what would that be?
Oh God. Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh no.
I
You
know.
don't
I have so many random
don't
subjects that I
talk
can.
about Warframe grinding for 5 hours. Don't.
I won't because Warframe grinding is really fucking boring, and I don't give a shit about Warframe anymore anyway.
Okay, happy to hear that. Not to shit on anyone for spending a lot of time on a game they like, because if you like it, that's really all that matters. But oof.
I mean, Warframe's a good game. Like
It's
Warframe's
not the
a good
worst of its
game.
kind by any means.
Yeah, no, I mean the only quarrel I have with it is like 90% you gotta grind.
Yeah, and if you want a game like that and that's your deal, that's cool. But if that's all your game got, mm,
Yeah, but I mean so many other games are also like that where you gotta grind to get some stuff that you really want. Like Elder Scrolls Online,
no,
Red Dead
don't.
Redemption, that,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
all grindy shit.
yeah. Multiplayer is a pretty easy excuse to make people grind extra hard.
Yeah,
And
it's
then they
dumb.
spank
I
a pay
hate
to
it.
win price tag on it.
Oh, I hate pay to win.
And then they
Pay to
take
win can
away
go
all
fuck
your
itself.
cool cosmetics and hide them behind paywalls, so you gotta fucking pay up to get drip. And I'm like, I just wanna drip, my dude. Fuck shooting guys. I just wanna run out there, look like an idiot, and get my head blown off because I got bright colors on me. Yeah.
Honestly, something that I really fucking love, right? Because obviously I've been very into Red Dead lately, and I just made my online character look so good. She looks amazing. She's got the best outfit on.
Dude, that's what I
And I'm
spent
like,
all
love
of
it.
my entirety of my first, like, $1,000 in online Red Dead money on just cosmetics.
I have spent like 3K just on clothes.
And then making my guns look nice.
I don't give a shit about my guns. I just want nice clothing. You know what I mean? Like I just want to look good.
Ah, screw you. If I gotta shoot a guy in the face, I gotta at least have my gun look pimpin'. And if I die, I'll
True,
still look cool dying. And if I
true.
miss, I'll
My
still look cool missing.
oh yeah, but no, like it's great because I have this very tiny character, obviously, you know, because she's female, wearing a skirt and a dress shirt with a tie, like a bow tie, and a jacket and a bowler hat, riding a tiny chonky horse, and I love it.
Does your hat consist of part rat, part real taxidermy
No,
rat? That's what
no,
I
because
thought.
I I know because I cannot be asked to go get the rats to do it because I think don't they have to be like 3 star or whatever.
What? No, no. I just bought a fucking vermin rat, and the hat just has a rat head and paws as a part of it. It's just part of the hat, and I'm like, who would? First of all, who decided I'm going to put part of a dead rat on this hat, and that's gonna make it more attractive to being bought by someone. And then somebody else, i.e., me, walked into that store, saw that hat, went, "Yup, I'm
I
now
went
going to
mine.
spend my hard-earned money, and this is on my head now. This is my hat now."
Yeah,
Fuck. That's why I did. I'm the bad guy here.
you're not a bad guy, dude. You're a good guy.
Aww.
You're a good person.
Then explain to me why I put a spooky ghost beneath all the text, and I literally had to figure out how to fucking. It made me figure out how to make fucking filters just so I could make it not invasive, because it
Yeah,
used to be this, it used to be that, and
I
like
can't stand
brighter.
it. It's of
No,
a
not that.
delay.
Yeah, stream delay. I'm
Is
cranking it back down.
yeah. I'll see. Oh shit, yeah, no, I see it.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
yeah, that was way
I
too.
see why you cranked it back down. Like that is way too much.
Yep, and I'm gonna leave it slightly fucked for the last part of this stream, because I just put it on the end screen. We've been going for like nearly 2 hours, so I feel like this is pretty good episode length. B, you have any last inquiries about SCPs or?
Not really. Like as I said, it was pretty fun hearing about it. There are a few that I might like go back to the links that you sent me tonight and read them because they genuinely sound interesting, especially when I skimmed them as well. Um, but I don't really have any like questions that I can ask you about it, unfortunately. It was interesting though.
Well, alrighty. That's good because I might not be able to answer. There's a lot of questions you could ask I wouldn't be able to answer.
Yeah, that is correct. Honestly though, like it seems like the SCP stuff is a lot more interesting than the creepypasta shit I was into like
Yeah,
10 years ago.
yeah. The creepypastas were kids trying too hard. The SCP stuff is just people just
Doing stuff.
doing stuff because they want to. And
Yeah.
the creepypastas were sometimes that, but then they started having way too many of their own tropes and other things tropes, and
And not just
ugh,
that, but the only creepypastas people were always into were the most popular. Like the whole thing started with Slenderman.
it's well,
Like the whole thing
Slenderman
popped.
was started technically as like a fucking image, didn't he? He
Yeah,
just
he
started
started as
on something awful.
yeah, no, like someone actually asked the other day, like someone that I'm, running Red Dead with, asked the other day, like, oh, when did Slenderman like get known? And somebody literally went, oh, it was like in the 40s or something, wasn't it? And I was like, no, it's like early 2010s.
Yeah, on a forum, literally a forum called something awful.
Exactly. And then it just kind of took off from there, and then stuff like Jeff the Killer and
How did Jeff the
uh,
Killer ever
Drow.
become popular? It's
I
literally
don't
not even
know.
good. It's not close.
I
It's
think I think it was just a lot of like 14-year-old girls who were like, "Oh my God, he's tormented. I can fix him."
You just reminded me of an entire era of the internet I was so happy to have forgotten that made
Yeah,
me
I know,
feel.
right? I
Oh,
can fix him. And the stupid thing is, it's not even just like fan fiction or creepypasta that has that trope. It's legitimate movie and like TV shows as well. Where it's like, oh, but I can fix this guy, he's not that bad once you get to know him. And you're just like, bitch, that is a fan fiction trope. I think I Hate Tuesday died or whatever. Dude, did you die? Is you dead? Come back to life, my guy.
I can't. Not after that. I gotta do the outro. Fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I gotta do a bit of shilling. We don't have a lot of stuff to shill. Uh, I check out B's TikTok. Check.
Don't.
Don't. You heard her. Don't. Go by my Discord. It's down below somewhere. Say hi. Call me an idiot. Whatever. There will be a YouTube archive channel. We're still working on that, but don't worry. I'm saving every single issue after it's been recorded, so they will be edited and they will be published one day, so you can listen to an entire backlog of episodes whenever that will be ready. I will.
Oh, you're still having trouble with the editing software?
Yeah.
Oh
I,
no.
I'm just going to. No, the solution I've come to is don't, and wait till I figure something better out.
Okay.
So that might be on a bit of a hold for now, but we will get
It's
something done with it.
it's like it's coming. It's a work in progress.
If we
We'll figure it
don't, they'll just if I don't, there'll just be a gathering mass of files being taken up on my computer, so I will have to do something about that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we can look. I can ask a few people around if need be.
Yeah, it shouldn't
Feel
be
like
too hard.
if they know a good like video editing software or like
But
program or something.
but I think that's it. I've been the guy that hates Tuesdays, and
I've been B for today.
yep, that's she's been B for
Yeah,
today. I'll put
yeah,
her down
I've been
after
B.
this issue ends and replace her with another one for the next episode.
No,
They must
no.
never know the true horror of how this show works. Now,
I
back to
mean,
the
I can
box.
finally reveal myself.
God fucking damn it, we took it too far.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No, no,
I'm
you
not
didn't
really.
take it too far. I
That
kept
was
going for
fun.
too long, and then you tried to add on it and save it, and you know what? Let's do that some other time, but worse, and make people
Yeah,
cringe.
yeah. Let's make people cringe one day. It's gonna be fun.
Also, don't you dare ever use my real name on here ever again. I gotta edit
Yeah,
that
I'm
out later.
sorry. I slipped. I'm so sorry, dude.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, we've already said goodbye and died and been cringe, so sudden stop. Sudden stop meme.